Hi and welcome, Flavia, to PhD Career Stories, the podcast that is here to inspire academic professionals. And I'm very proud to have you on the podcast. So, welcome, Flavia.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you too here. So that just shortly before we start, this podcast topic is about having sort of a dual career, or as I see it, keeping many doors open when you still have decided to go for a full professorship. But shortly about you first here, Flavia. I have it on my paper here.
Mhm.
That is that you are a PhD in biomedical science.
Exactly.
You are today a senior scientist at AMI and
Mhm.
also founder of your own company, LYRIS. You live in Switzerland, but you are from Portugal. So you have left your home country to live somewhere else in Europe. When we talked, you have a PhD, a degree from ICBAS, and you are aiming for a full professor, but at the same time, sort of exploring and developing skills in your own company. And that is what we're going to talk about, because this is also what I learned when I'm coaching PhDs, that it's okay to do many things at the
At the
same
same time.
time and explore things. So, welcome. And I am going to kick off with the first question here.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank
Why, yeah, why did you start with a PhD in Portugal at all?
you. Okay.
How did you start with that one?
Thank you very much first for the invitation and to be here. It's very my pleasure. And that it's a very easy question to answer. So I'm from Portugal, and when I decided to start my PhD, I knew from the beginning, like since I was born, that I wanted to become professor. And to become professor, I needed a PhD. And at that time, I would say that I was not able to move my countries for personal reasons. And then I said, okay, let's do the PhD in Portugal because it was where I was born and was I was living. But since I started my PhD, I immediately realized that it's good to have the mobility and to change countries. So my PhD was kind of international as well. So during my PhD, I was in 3 different countries. So I started in Porto. So I did the PhD in biomedical science in University of Porto. But then after, let's say, 7 8 months, I moved to Denmark, and then I came back, and then I said, okay, now I like the experience, but I want to have a full international experience, and then I won a Fulbright grant, so I moved to Boston. It was amazing. So just to say that it was not just fixed to Porto, but I was also kind of not so flexible in my mind. So during the last years, I changed a lot regarding that. And that's why for me at that time, I was young and I was like, no, I don't want to move because I want to be close to my family. I want to be close to my parents. I'm afraid to move alone. So that's why I started in Porto. But then after quite like 1 year maximum, I changed it.
Then you changed countries. So
Exactly.
you have been in United Kingdom, Denmark, born in Porto, and now you're in Switzerland. Is that
E-
correct?
Exactly, but I was as well in Belgium and in
Yeah.
Italy. Yeah. So
Oh,
it's my seventh time moving countries.
7 time moving countries. So how many languages do you speak?
Just Portuguese, English, Italian, because I had to learn, and a bit of French so far because I'm here since 1 year, so I understand. Speaking is a bit more difficult, but I understand, and to write is also fine. And of course Spanish because it's super close. So Portugal is very close to Spain,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
not
I have
fluent.
learned that because when I have never, yeah, I have been in Porto,
Hmm.
not in Porto, but I'm in Lisbon and then on Barcelona. And I said, do you understand each other? They say, yeah, there's certain similarities between the
Yeah, we
Spanish
do.
and the Portuguese, but there's still differences in the language. But that is a future skill to speak many languages. I learned that now from I spoke with the corporate, the person working in the corporate company in Stockholm, and he said he speaks about 4 or 5 languages, and he said it's absolutely important. He says even though he doesn't need it because everyone speaks English, it's still on the social after the meetings, between the meetings, after work, that you can speak the
It's
local language
Yeah,
is
it's
an
very
important skill.
important actually.
Mm.
Very important to settle down and to create different friendship, because sometimes when you are in a country, of course, in academic life, everyone speak. speak
Mm,
English, so it's easy. But if you go outside, a few people speak English, depending on the country. For
exactly.
instance, in Italy, yeah, I found that problem, so I needed to learn Italian to survive outside.
To
And that's
survive outside.
yeah, but it
And
was very cool.
And the reason I mention language here in this podcast is because this is what I have learned to do business. If you want to stay in academia, English is usually good enough.
Hmm.
But if you want to actually live in the country and maybe leave academia or have a dual career, you need to learn the local language. Otherwise, it's
Definitely.
very, very difficult to make connections and network and sort of understand the culture. And this is sort of a hindrance for many PhDs and postdocs when they change career. So I was just curious because you for sure has that interest. And I would say that's an important skill that might be connected that you are very curious and open-minded here, Flavia. We don't
Yes,
know.
exactly.
Yes,
Exactly. No, that's for sure.
that's
That's
for
why I
sure.
like to do new things and yeah, and learn. Always learning.
Always learning.
Always
That's a
learning.
future skill as well. But now we saw you've done that, and now you're in Switzerland, and I know from we discussed before the podcast here that you first of all would like to aim for a full professorship.
Exactly.
We will not go into why. We can come back to that later. But at the same time, you started you said side project, but I would say you are exploring something else on the side here. And that is LYRIS, that
Hmm.
the company you are founder of, where you want to help and support PhDs. How did you come up with that idea?
Yeah. So during my PhD and after the first postdocs, I found very difficult to have mentorship and helping me during my career, and even offer me some courses like how to write a good abstract, or even to find alternative careers to academic life. And because at that time I couldn't find any, or at least in Portugal, in my country, any course regarding that. So I thought I have this drive to teach and mentor, and for me it was like I'd like to start a new project where I can help people, help PhD students, and also postdoc to pursue the career, the academic career or not. So 2 years ago, 2021 or before that, so in 2020, I started thinking about this project, and for me it was like, okay, let's open this company. LYRIS, and the aim here is to help PhD students and postdocs in their career. So we started in, as I said, in 2021 in May, and we were offering courses more or less every month for PhD, sometimes for PhD, sometimes for postdocs, and with the aim to help them, for instance, in writing the thesis. We also had this one-to-one coaching session, writing the thesis, and even if they want to write a paper but they don't know how to start writing the paper, so we were helping this with my team. And apart from that, we also had some workshops every month. um, f- so we divided for PhD students or for postdocs. For PhD students, of course, it's more like, as I said, how to write the abstract or how to do a good peer review process. For postdoc, it was more, okay, which kind of alternatives there is out there for apart from academic life, or also how can you write successfully a project like a grant. And that was, it's my aim is to help people and to offer a good mentorship, because I found it very difficult. And now the next project that we have for the next year is more for postdocs, because as I said, I want to become professor, right? So this is my goal and my ultimate goal, and I found it very difficult for a postdoc to move in, so to do this step, because I believe that we don't have the soft skills, and to when we have the job, like let's say when we are professorships, or at least is what I have heard as well, um, we don't know really how to do the job because we were not prepared during the postdoc. So now we are planning a new course for this, a big one, not like, because the others were very short, let's say like 1 day, 2 day maximum. And this one, it will be a big one. And the aim here is really to help postdocs to move on, and but move on with a good skills that they should have. I'm not just talking about research, but also it's very important, for instance, to know how to teach, because sometimes we don't know how to teach, or even to manage people, because it's very hard to manage people. Or we can talk about financial management as well. And during the postdoc now, I'm here in Switzerland and I have my own grant. So of course I'm developing these skills, but some postdocs they don't know how to do it. So that's why my drive is really to help postdocs and PhD students in their career, to feel supported, let's say, for someone.
But how can it be that, let's say that you do your PhD, you do a postdoc, and then of course there is this funnel, if I take it like that. There are many PhDs, there are less postdocs, or still
Mhm.
fairly many postdocs, and then there are less positions. So
Yeah.
there is sort of a kick out system, an exit system, that fewer and fewer and fewer. So we know that roughly, I would say less than 3% continue to full professor. I mean, it looks like a company. You're many people here and only one president. So
Yeah.
it's just the same sort of selection. But I'm curious here to hear you about how can it be that you stay in academia, you do postdoc for many years, and then still maybe don't understand the strategy behind moving towards full professor.
It's
How can
it's
that be?
it's not known the strategy. It's more like when you are a professor, you need to develop different soft skills that you don't know during your postdoc. And I'm talking about, for instance, managing people, the human resources, managing a team. Sometimes during your postdoc, you are doing the research in the lab, and you don't have the opportunity to mentor PhDs or other postdocs, for instance. And then when you start it, you find it very difficult to start. It's like your own company almost, right? So you have your own team, and you need to lead the team. So even like, for instance, the leadership skills, I believe that a good professor should be a good leader, and for that you need to have training, or are you born like a good leader or you need to have training for that. Because then this will impact a lot your PhD students and your PhD master students, your students. And then maybe they don't find attractive the academic life anymore for bad supervision. I have no idea, for instance, it's just one idea. So the aim here, or for my company, is to offer a kind of course that will help, like, let's say, create a new generation of scientists, and that they are more aware of how to be a good professor and leader, and inspire students to do good science. And yeah, so, but for that, as I said, it's like a kind of CEO of a company, or at least the way
Mhm.
that I see being a professor, because you need to write well grants, because sometimes during the postdoc, it depends, of course, in the person, how the person is. You need to write grants, you need to write the papers, you need to go to the lab, you need to supervise students, um, and for that, some people are good on writing, some people are good in communicating, but it's always good to know how to do it during your
And
um,
this is what I'm coming back to. So, my question is that you talk about developing soft skills, but I'm not sure. Are you really selected when it comes to competition about your soft skills? Are you selected about how good your science is and how many publications you
no,
have
no,
published?
you are selected by both.
You're selected about how
Yeah,
can
yeah,
you measure that you have good soft skills? I never heard about that. I'm very
no.
curious.
Ah,
No?
okay. No, you are selected by both. The soft skills, it can be like, for instance, problem solving. You should
Yeah, that is
ex-
something else. Now you're talking here.
yeah.
That is not soft skills. No.
Okay.
So now we need to define here,
Okay.
Flavia.
What
Maybe
is
here I'm
soft?
tough to what soft skills is. Soft skills, that is a fluffy word. So we need to make sure that the listeners understand how you and we define soft skills. Soft skills, personality, that could be the open-minded, you can be curious, adaptable, whether you are reactive, that's your personality. And
Hmm.
that is, of course, part of leadership in some extent. But what I understand, what you talk about, that is abilities that you learn that are more connected to transferable skills. So let's say that you like to solve a problem, but how do you measure how you solve a problem? Basically, I don't think you can do that. But if you are analytic and all, these things you develop, we maybe should call them something else. It's abilities and skills you learn, of course, as a PhD.
Hmm.
But in order to become a good professor,
You need to.
you need to be able to learn how to strategically write a good article, and that is a skill
Mhm.
that require training and strategy. Isn't it so? It's a strategy behind writing a very good article or writing a very good abstract. Wouldn't you say it's isn't that a skill that you can train?
It's a skill that you can train.
Yeah,
Definitely, it's a skill that you can train.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because you have so at least from my the workshops that we had with PIs that they were writing
Mm,
projects, they had the strategy,
yeah,
and they told us how to write a good I remember that one professor said, it's very easy. You just have this strategy and you do exactly like that every time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Yeah, it's something that you should learn,
It's something you should learn. Yeah.
but
Hmm.
it depends on your PhD if you are able to learn or not. So that's why I think it's important to have the training.
That's important time to try because that now we can stay there a little bit because this is what I learned from someone when I was in the United States, and his name is Dr. Anakumba, and he's developing courses in actually how to publish, and he says that many PhDs and postdocs haven't learned that in their training, that you have result, but you need to get the result down on a paper and answer questions in a strategic way so it's attractive, so it gets published. And he said that is a strategy. And many don't have that strategy how to do that. And that is what I'm curious about, Flavia, to hear your opinion. How can it come that you do a PhD and a postdoc? Some PhDs and postdocs learn how to write a paper and some don't. How can that be? What do you think?
Yeah, it depends on the supervision.
It's
Depends
the
on.
supervision.
Yeah, I think it depends on the supervision. So if you have a good mentor, the mentor will teach you how to do it.
Mm.
Um, or you are very good on that already, and you don't need
Yeah,
any,
yeah.
and
You
you don't
don't
need
need
any
any.
supervision. I think it's a combination on the mentorship and also the student.
Mm.
It depends on. Sometimes the mentor can teach the student that the student uh, is not interested, for instance. I have no
Mm.
idea. It depends, because sometimes people do the PhD with different goals, right?
Mm.
So some people do the PhD, of course, to learn, or should be to learn different skills, and to be better after the 3 4 5 years
Mm.
as a
Mm.
person as well, and then to open doors for other, can be academia but can also be a non-academic life. Um, but also some students, they have very in mind that they want to pursue a non-academic life, so they are not interested in writing papers, for instance. So for them it's not a
No,
big.
for them it's not a big deal.
Exactly, so
But
I
but
think.
if you're planning to start learning the strategy behind writing an article is something you should start already as a PhD. So this is for you listeners here that, if you are planning to start learning how to write an application is super crucial. And I completely agree
Yes,
with you. If you can't do
super
that,
crucial.
another thing that I would ask you is also how to early on learn about writing attracting funding, because we know if you want to go for full professorship you must be able to write a fund
Yeah.
application so you attract funding. How can you start adding that as a skill to your portfolio already as a PhD, you would say?
So the best way is to talk with your supervisor and help him to write, I would say, because
Mm,
your supervisor should write some grants. So you can
mm,
ask him if you can help in part, like in a very small work package or something like that, and he can teach you as well how to do it. But then it's a question of practice and time. So you receive the comments back. You know what you did wrong. You
yeah.
can also, in these kind of trainings like courses, people can share with you what they did before and what worked and what didn't
Mm,
work. And then you will learn by practicing, let's say, basically.
mm,
Of course there is some strategy, but sometimes it's also question of luck, being the right time in the right place, have luck as well with the reviewers from the other side. um, Yeah, but I would say it's a question of asking your supervisor
Asking your
to help.
supervisor.
Yes, sometimes the supervisor like I would say not in the first year, of course, but in the last year of PhD, some of them they ask to help. So I had this opportunity, so it was very good for me.
Mm. So
Um,
that was my question, that listen now here what Flavia is saying, that maybe it is so that it's very crucial for you when you plan a PhD and a postdoc that you choose your supervisor. That might
it's
be, yeah, maybe even more important than choosing
it's
the
the most,
project.
yes,
It's
it's
most
more
important. Yeah.
important to choose the right person than the project. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
That's for sure. That's a big learning. So you said, how did you learn these things?
After a while.
After a while. Share. Would you like to share?
After a while, no, I cannot complain. So I said I moved 7 times countries, so
Mm,
it's not about just my personal life, but also about the others, my friends, for instance,
mm,
and I know a lot of people in different countries, and I know very good experience with supervisors, but I also know very bad experience with supervisors. That's why then I realized, okay, maybe we should start changing this as well. Choosing the right supervisor is very, it's the most important thing, because some people they have good experience, I cannot complain about mine, but some other they don't have. So so that's fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I listen carefully because I heard that from many more people, and I can refer to my own career that as long as I had my supervisor's support, my career in academia was fairly easy. But when suddenly I came and back to Sweden in those years, and I didn't have any support system, it just didn't work. It's like working against the wind,
Yeah, it's very
and
you feel that you are always working alone
yeah, yeah, working
and
alone against the wind.
against the tide.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and depends as well what do you understand by supporting. For some
Mhm.
people, a good mentor is one thing. For other people, a good mentor is another. So the way that you can perceive that you are supporting people, just to not, for instance, be against their will, but be supportive is more than that. It's also help creating a good networking.
Mm,
Um, and help, as I said, to write articles, help to how can I write a good project, what, or asking even the students, what is your goal, like what do you want to do after the PhD, how can I help you on that. If you want to
mm,
go to industry, okay, I know a lot of people in industry, so I can introduce you.
Introduce
Something
you.
like this. Like for me, being a good supportive mentor, it's something like that. But
Mm.
then it will also depend
But
on the personality.
that burns of the personality, and I
Yeah,
need to
it's also
interrupt you because I
exactly.
picked up a lot of things here that we need to sort of. Flavia, we talked about writing, and you said the fund writing, but you mentioned a lot of other things. Is it to actually, I would say it's a soft skill, you can say, but it's an ability some people
Hmm.
have. That is to somehow automatically choose the people they work with deliberately, sort of, so they get a support system. So listening to you, you have moved around a lot. So you know what a good and a bad supervisor
Yes,
is. So you know that if I'm going to succeed, I need to have a support system. So you find a supervisor that sort of can support you.
exactly.
And I would say that's a skill of being a good networker and understanding that I can't do this on my own. I'm going to need help. So would you say that's an ability or skill that you have, Flavia?
No, I learned that.
You learned that. Now that you have to share how you learned that.
Yes, it was not easy.
That wasn't easy. Now I'm curious. Okay, now you have to tell me.
No, because so as I said, I have this goal, right? The professorship position. And sometimes, as I said, you feel in the academic life a bit lonely, right? And in the path. And I knew that to achieve this, I need to improve myself, even in my skills, like my communication skills, not be shy and go there and talk with people, with the important like PIs and professors. Um, and for that, I have my coach that helps me, my psychotherapist that helps me how to be there. And without the psychotherapist help, I think I don't know, it will be much harder for me
Now I
to
have to be
have.
careful. Is it a coach or a psychologist?
It's more a psychologist. Yes, more a
Yeah, because
psychologist.
psychologist is
But they do
therapy,
coaching
but
with me.
coaches,
They
yeah. So
they
I
do
want to,
coach with me.
yeah. So
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
like,
mix the therapies here.
no, because just to give you an example, because I think it's easier to understand. For me, it was very hard to talk with people, to show myself, to talk with, go in a conference and start talking with someone. So with my coach, we create a strategy before going to a specific conference. I said, I want to talk with this person. What should I do? So with her, she helped me how to go there, and start talking. Now it's easy for me, and now it's like okay. But a few years ago, it was really not, and it was sometimes very frustrated because you have it in mind like, okay, I want to talk with this person. I should not be shy, and then you cannot. You simply cannot because it's not part of.
No, 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 no. But now you're touching something else. You say this is something I also learned from people around me, that coach is a person that helps you move into the future. But
Hmm.
coaching is also exploring your personality, of course, and
Yes,
what strengths and weaknesses. And you have, with a coach, you overcome what we say an hindrance, and hindrance that you say you were shy. But I'm going to stay there. You were shy. What is shy actually for you? What you
it's
learned?
like, for me, I'm shy when I'm in a large audience, let's say.
Yeah, that is understandable. But why are you shy? Or were you shy with a lot of people around you?
Sometimes, mostly in conferences or even
Yes,
in a.
yes, yes. I'm stuck. But why?
I why?
Yeah,
Because I don't want. Because I'm afraid to talk. I don't know. I'm afraid
you're
to give
afraid
my
to talk.
give
Yeah.
my opinion or something like that. You know.
I'm afraid to give your opinion. Afraid to talk.
Now I'm
It
not,
is
because I was not
is
confident enough. During the PhD, it's
you were not
something that, yeah.
confident.
I think
So
most of the PhDs, they, it depends. When they start, it's good, but then with the frustrations that comes with the PhD, sometimes your self confidence is going down.
you're afraid to fail. You're afraid to say something that's not correct and
Also,
maybe
exactly,
be
exactly.
corrected.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And that is, and sorry for being a little bit pushy here,
No,
but
no,
this
that's
is a
fine.
hindrance in your career. You say shy, and this is common. I feel shy, but it's usually connected to that we are afraid to fail, or
To
we are
fail,
afraid to say something that we will be criticized about, that so we get back. And this is not a future skill, because a future skill is really to be open-minded about, I can be wrong, but it's okay because I get the feedback. So it's
exactly.
sort of, going for a conference, you have learned, you also have trained yourself to get feedback.
Hmm.
Even though they criticize you, say, oh, thank you for telling that. I didn't know that.
Exactly.
Good. I can add that now to my portfolio. So congratulations, Flavia. So listen here now. This is a shy woman we have here
Yeah,
that had sort of learned in academia to be so critical that you were afraid to share your opinion.
yeah.
And this is trainable and it's coachable. So congratulations, Flavia.
Thank you. Yeah, it took me a while, but now I'm good.
So that's another networking and outreach sort
Yes.
of skill that you're trying. That is, of course, very important. But you are talking about, you have done something else here,
Hmm.
which I read between the lines, that you are a woman that is not afraid to ask for help.
No, I'm not.
That's a future skill. Did you
No,
know that?
no, I didn't.
Wonderful.
I didn't. But I'm not afraid to ask help.
No,
Actually,
that's
no.
that's important, because if we go
What I
back to
want.
you,
So,
yeah,
and I know that we are always improving
mm,
ourselves,
yeah,
and yeah, the person that I am now, it's not the same that I was 3 years ago.
no, it's not.
And like, and I know that I will be better. I hope
You will be better in the future. Of
in the
course, you will be
future.
better in the future. Because you like to go, your aim is to go for full professorship. What I
Mhm.
hear is that you're adding skills strategically, but you're also at the same time stay curious and open-minded about, starting a company where you want to help and support other PhDs and postdocs actually to faster learn what you have learned on your own so that you can share your learnings in your companies to them. Have I understood you? Is that
Exactly,
it's
exactly like that.
exactly. This is a
You couldn't,
wonderful.
yes.
Yeah.
No, it's really because it was not an easy path, let's say. I
Mm.
think for everyone,
Mm.
and if I can help people to shorten the
To
path,
shorten, yeah.
it's even better. Yeah.
Of course, it's a very nice. It's lovely to hear that you're doing that, Flavia, and I want you listeners also to listen to Flavia. Hear that she has created this company to help you to speed up your career. Actually, so her failures and learnings she will pass on to all of you that actually contact her in her company. So we're now coming to sort of an end here, and we're
Mhm.
going to round up the podcast. And I usually do that by saying, if you have to give three short tips, if you think about that, you go back in time
Mhm.
and you had to redo everything, yeah, your whole career, and you really redo your career, what would you have done differently then?
Okay. So I'd
Mm.
say the first, as we spoke during this postdoc, is to choose very wisely your mentor.
Mm.
This is the most important thing. The mentor, and also I would say the city, the
Mm.
country,
Yeah, the country.
because it's very important for you to feel happy in the place that you are. Because during the PhD, you will have up and downs,
Mm.
and if you are frustrated by your research data, at least you can go out and have good friends, or enjoy the sea, or enjoy the weather, or whatever. So this is my
Mm.
first advice. Second is to not be afraid to speak out.
Yeah.
Even if you are wrong.
If you are wrong,
Yeah,
exactly.
because at the end, nothing will happen.
Mm.
People will not remember what you said in 1 year, or even
Yeah.
like after one day.
Apart from this podcast here now,
Apart from this, but yes. Yes, don't be really afraid to speak your opinion, and have the power, like your voice. Yeah, your voice is what I want to say.
Mm.
And the third, I'm talking for PhDs, right? Before PhDs, or is really to follow your passion, like,
Mm.
and not be afraid with the future. If
Mm.
you, I believe that you will succeed always if you have the right passion, and if you have good intention to do the
Mm.
things,
Mm.
not doing because your mom wanted, or your neighbor or your professor said to you, yeah, you will not never do it. No, just do it because you want. For me, it's like I want to save lives, and I want to create a new treatments to save lives, and this is what, at the end, every day,
Mm.
even if I have some obstacles, I said, okay, this is my driving force, it's what I want. So of course, I'm not saying that I don't doubt, because I doubt every
Of
week.
course, you doubt every
Every
week.
week.
Oh, don't worry, I doubt me my company as well. Every day I'm doubting.
Exactly.
It's part of the journey. Yeah.
But at least, while I'm still believing, or while I'm still naive to think that I will kind of have an impact in society, it's what makes me laugh, let's say.
Mm. And so to summarize, what I hear is that you learn to reach out. Yeah, choose your mentor, choose your supervisor, choose a country and a lab, and go for passion, because the future we don't know anyway, because there are going to
Yeah.
be more changes in the next 10 years than in the last 100. So it's
Yeah.
actually to trust yourself and your
And enjoy the
abilities
life during
and
the
enjoy
the,
life
the
at the
life
same time.
during, yeah,
Yeah.
because a PhD is the most wonderful years of your life, I guarantee
Yes,
you.
it is.
So
Listen
just
carefully,
enjoy.
it is, it
It
is.
is
Yeah,
just
yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
the life, and not
yeah.
just so work hard, because
Enjoy life. I
enjoy
think we
life. Yeah.
stop there. Enjoy life. Thank you, Flavia.
Thank you to you.
So she said, and I'm passing on, please enjoy life,
Yes.
because this is, in the end, the most important thing that
Thank
we have.
Yes.
Mm.
That's definitely true.
Thank you, Flavia, for the podcast. And I would say thank you for you followers here listening to us. And I would say, please never hesitate to reach out to PhD Career Stories and my team if you know anyone that you like to hear the story from or to be produced here with us. Also, welcome to follow us on Instagram, on our webpage, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So from us to you, have a lovely week. Take care.